What's up, YouTube? This is Brian Pfeiffer, MarketingMeathead.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about some emojis in the subject line, and stick around to the end for some surprising results. All right, let's get started. So here we go. We got a little bit of emojis in the subject line. I'm sure everybody watching this knows what an emoji is. My mom might not know what an emoji is, but most of the people who have a cell phone these days know that pretty much on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, you name it, a lot of people use emojis. People talk in emojis these days. It's definitely a common language. It's really just come about in the last 10 years. But emojis tend to spark a little bit of emotion, show up more of what you mean. And the whole point of having an emoji possibly in like a subject line would be to get your email to open maybe by more people, or just get it read. Okay, so I got some good results I want to show you guys after a test here from an article, and let me show you how to do it first. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing you want to do here is you got to go to this link. Now I'm going to have a link below to my blog post, and I'll have a blog up that has this link in it because it's a little bit hard to remember. It's kind of long here. All right, so this is what it looks like when you go to that link. All right, not that one. It looks like this. Okay, so this is where you're going to pick your emoji. All right, so there's a ton of them here. I know there's more here, I think, than there is even on the iPhone. I'm pretty sure. But say you want to do this like salad bowl. Okay. So you hit copy, and then the next step is you got to go to the Cylog software. Okay, and this is a link. I'll have this in the blog post below as well. And then when you go over to that Cylog software, you're actually going to paste that you just copied, that emoji, right there. Okay, boom. So there's your little salad bowl. Then you just click submit. Super simple. Okay, you grab this little code down here. This is the actual. Every one of these emojis behind the scenes is a code. Okay, so this is the code. All right, and then what you do is you take that code and you just plug it into your subject line. Okay, now you can put it in the middle of your subject line. You can put it at the beginning. You can put it at the end. All right. Most people will encourage you to probably put it at the beginning so your email stands out. All right, that's typically what I do. Sometimes I put it at the end, sometimes I put it in the middle, but mostly if I use emojis, I put it in the beginning. Now here's where things get a little interesting. Okay, so the Search Engine Journal came out with this big study, and what they said, what you'd think is emojis would be more considered to have more value. Okay, but the results are kind of surprising. Okay, so let's take a look at the results. Now I'm going to link this article in the blog post as well if you want to read the whole thing, but I just pulled out the highlights, okay, because this is the most important stuff. There was basically 3 million emails that were measured from 17 different email campaigns. Every email was A/B tested. There was emojis at the front of the subject line, emojis in the end of the subject line, and then no emoji in the subject line. So there was multiple variants going on here, so you could really get a good sample. Now the open rate was fairly comparable. Okay, the emojis with the emails with the emojis had a 52.9%, 94% rate compared to a 47.06 rate. So it was marginal. Okay, it wasn't like the emails with the emojis just like blew it away. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're using emojis. I'm going to talk more about your niche at the end here, but emojis may or may not affect your open rate depending on your niche. The click-through rate now, that's when somebody actually opens your email and then clicks on something in your email. Okay, that's called the CTR, the click-through rate. And the campaigns, out of the 11 out of the 15 campaigns had a higher click-through rate with the emoji. Okay, so that was kind of interesting that the that the emojis actually got a higher CTR. All right. And it depends on the niche, and what the Search Engine Journal said is their particular niche was used to seeing emojis in the subject line, so that could have something to do with it. Okay, more users, and they adapt to the emojis and whatnot. Now, if you're in certain niches like finance or something that's more like older related, baby boomer age type related, they may not resonate so much with emojis, whereas maybe like the millennial generation will definitely know what emojis are and understand what they mean and whatnot. Okay, so that was interesting. Okay, so that was a surprising result. Okay, that the CTR was a lot higher with emoji emails. But now for unsubscribes, which is another important thing here. Okay, this was also a surprise result, and basically the emails with emojis had a higher unsubscribe rate. It showed like 70.59% compared to 29.41 in favor of the non-emoji emails. So this is what indicates is that the emails with the emojis in the headline had a higher unsubscribe rate. Kind of interesting, okay? So keep that in mind. If you're getting a lot of unsubscribes and you're using emojis, you might want to back off a little bit and see if that makes a difference, okay? It's a pretty good result, and I thought that was fairly surprising as well. And then finally, the abuse reports. Nobody likes to get reported as abuse. This is bad for your email service provider. This is bad for, obviously, the Yelps, the Googles, or the Yahoos, the Googles, and the different email companies out there that have spam traps and whatnot. And they found that the people that had the emojis in the subline, the emails that had the emojis in the subject line, were actually more likely to get an abuse report. Okay. Now, it was an insignificant amount of abuse reports compared to the amount of emails, but it was a little alarming that they found the emojis did get a little bit higher abuse report, especially on this one email in particular here. This was the SEJ monthly best stories from 2020, and they got 3 abuse reports from the emoji emails. So, kind of interesting. You're always going to maybe occasionally get an abuse report. It might be kind of a random fluke type of thing. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, it's something that you got to do. But overall, 7 out of 12 campaigns showed a bias towards a better open rate with the emoji being placed at the front of the subject line. Okay, so you'll find, I think I usually put the emojis at the front of my subject line in my titles of my YouTube videos, and a lot of times in my emails when I use them. But again, emojis can create maybe a negative sentiment for certain crowds. If you're selling to older people in maybe the baby boomer generation, might not resonate. Finance people, very professional people, if you're doing like business to business communications, something you do on LinkedIn, for example, and you're trying to get a sales pitch across to somebody, maybe emojis probably wouldn't be the best use there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You always have to be testing. That's the most important thing. And depending on your niche, you may find that it works well and it doesn't. So hopefully you guys found today's video valuable. If you could, leave me a like down below. Make sure you subscribe and bang that notifications bell. I do appreciate any comments below if you like this valuable content where I bring in a little bit of a case study to the actual content itself. Leave me a comment below and let me know if you like the style. I am the Marketing Meathead. We'll talk to you later.